Hey, how's it going, everybody? Lawler here, and happy Tuesday to you all. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the new information that has come to light in regards to how the South America circuit is going to work for RLCS X. So, going to be talking a little bit about the OCE region and how their circuit is going to break down as well. And as always, if you guys enjoy the content, you guys know what to do down below. If you guys want to give the video a thumbs up, show that you like it, as well as make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. And while you're down there, if you guys want to support me directly further, the best way to do so is in the description. While you are down there, you can find links to all my social medias that are on rotation right next to me. But without further ado, let's get into it. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how we finally got some information regarding how the South American OCE regions are going to feed actually into the RLCS X season. With the new circuit style, there hasn't really been any details coming out in regards to how South America is going to feed in and find their two teams, or how Australia and OCE and the rest of that region are going to also find their teams. And we finally have some details about South America, and we're going to go over that because it is a little bit different from what we're used to with the grid and the field and the regional events and all that kind of stuff. But we're going to start with South America just because there's a little bit more to it and kind of the meat and potatoes, I guess, of the video. So first up, South America circuit has been announced. They talk about it in a post, which will be linked down below. I'll also put up the tweet that shows it as well because they've got some pretty cool graphics, which should have probably been used in the thumbnail. But they talk about how the wait is now over and they're introducing a $225,000 prize pool with a schedule of competitions for South America. This is going to be what they detail as the official path from any South American players that want to go into the international majors and the inevitable world championship. They talk about how everybody's eager for the new format, so let them explain it. And this is going to be for the first split. If you guys are confused what I mean by split instead of like season, if you guys haven't already, make sure somewhere up top here, I'll try to throw, or down in the description, a link to me discussing and explaining the RLCS X format. And at this point, if you guys don't understand the format, just come ask or drop it down in the comments. It's way too complicated to explain in every single video. So they talk about how in the South American circuit, in the first split, it's going to have two identical phases which award points for the RLCS X season called Grand Points. They are known as the Grand Series, so Grand Points is what they're going with. Both Split 1 and Split 2, it looks like, are going to be identical. There is no format changes or anything. They're keeping it as simple as possible from the sounds of it. Each phase is going to have a regional tournament called the Grand Series. These will be 3 series of weekly open tournaments called Prime Series, and then 3 open community tournaments. So as they detail, per split, there's going to be 2 regional tournaments and 12 open tournaments. For the regional tournament or the Grand Series, you must compete in community tournaments and Prime Series tournaments. So you have to compete in both for a chance to get into the further one, which I actually think is a really cool way to incentivize making sure that their teams and their players play consistently, because that has been a really big issue for OCE and SAM in the past, where teams will play only for the chance to go to the World Championship. They don't make it. And then after that season of RLCS, they disband and completely ruin their rosters, and the teams don't stick together. And it actually creates a lot of issues with the team and the region as a whole trying to get better. So this incentivizes it where you have to play consistently. You have to stick with your rosters. And I don't know if they're going to follow the same rules when it comes to like how roster changes happen, but I assume it's got to be pretty consistent if Psyonix is footing the bill. So I do like the fact that the whole purpose of this and the sole purpose is to qualify for teams in the Grand Series, and you have to play both to do so. They talk about the point system next and talk about how the overall system is going to be separated in 2 different ways. There will be Grand Points and Prime Points, one for the Grand Series, one for the Prime Series. Prime Points will only serve to qualify for the Grand Series. So the basic way to look at it is the Grand Series is the encompassing over hierarchy of what you need to get into the World Championship and the international majors, while the Prime Points and the Prime Series are what feed into that to give you those opportunities. You can kind of view it as if the grid fed directly into the regional events. At least that's kind of the feeling that I get. As for the format, they talk about how all Prime Series tournaments will be open to all teams and will feature a double elimination bracket played to completion in a single day. So that's quite a few matches that they're going to have to cover, but I think that also leads to quite a few opportunities for broadcast talent, as these are going to be long days. I don't know if they're going to do an A and a B stream or if they're going to have an English stream, but hopefully they do. I think it'll be a cool opportunity and some exposure for the guys based upon the fact that they haven't really gotten the support that I think they deserve. They put in a ton of effort. I also firmly believe that South America is a better region than OCE lately. Other than a select few teams here and there, I think overall South America is actually pretty solid. So with that said, the Prime Series is open qualifier for everybody, double elimination bracket, but the Grand Series will only feature South America's top 16. Those 16 teams are going to be based upon the performances in the Prime Series and the Prime points that they end up earning. And the Grand Series will be a 4-day tournament that begins with a Swiss format that ends in an 8-team single elimination bracket. If you guys don't know, that's the exact same thing that's happening right now. This past weekend, we had stage 1 of the first regional for Europe. The thing that I recapped yesterday's video, that was stage 1 and was a 2-day event, figuring out our 32 teams, breaking it down to 16. Next weekend, another 2-day event where day 1 is going those 16 to 8. And then the Sunday will be 8 in a single elimination bracket to figure out who the best is. So very similar formats actually here. The other thing that they address is actually community tournaments, which I really like. South America really hasn't had the biggest backing when it comes to consistent community tournaments. And it seems like they're putting a pretty large emphasis on that. They say that community tournaments were created to help all South American Rocket League communities, the organizations, the studios, the streamers, and more. And they want to give them a space to show off their community and the world of South American Rocket League. So they express that if you have a community or an organization based upon South American Rocket League, to please reach out to them, and more details will probably come with that. They still also mention that they have more details to reveal, and they'll be doing it soon. So in the meantime, they do have some Q&As. Most of these questions are pretty similar, talking about how points are going to be allocated when they fall off, or how long you retain your points for. And it's the same thing pretty much as the RLCS X season, where split to split, you keep your points, but once the season is over, the grand points, they go away after the completion of RLCS 10 before we get into RLCS 11. Registration for South American teams is not open yet, but they do talk about how this first split will begin on August 12th, which is coming up pretty quick, and it will end on October 4th. So a lot faster than some of these other regional events for North America and Europe, but overall, I think it's a fantastic direction for South America. I mean, again, we're talking $225,000 US. That is huge for that region, considering in the past it was only one-off in league play, and it was like 20 or 30,000. So this is a big deal. It's a good way to give back, and overall is going to make this region better as a whole. If you want to see a similar breakdown to how this is going to work, like I always mention, you can go to Liquipedia. Liquipedia does have it separated based upon Grand Series, Prime Series, Grand Series 1 and 2, the different stages, and some of the more details of how this is going to work. As they figure out more teams that are competing, it'll be a little bit easier. And I'll try to do my best to actually keep you guys up to date with some of these rosters in that RLCS document that I have for all my rosters as well. It's going to be a lot of work, but I'll try to keep a hold on literally every roster of like the top 16 for every single region moving forward for you guys, which quite honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do, but I'll do my best. Then on the other side, and I've mentioned this one a little bit briefly, ESL Australia talked about how they're going to be the ones handling the OCE championship, which is their version of what this is. The thing I just talked about with South America doing the Grand Series. It looks like instead of using LPL Live or Throwdown, which is what the OCE used to use in the past, they're going to be using ESL to actually handle this, which I think is fantastic. ESL, I think, has kind of the best system in place to make sure this runs smoothly, as well as a production team behind them that can really handle multiple splits. They also will have $225,000 to utilize before it goes into the majors, as well as the World Championships. So again, I think the fact that the support for both South America and OC moving forward is getting a massive jump, which should provide better levels of competition. It should also incentivize teams more, and more importantly, a lot of these teams just can't commit to this full time, where a lot of these players and teams just don't have the, I guess, backing. They don't have an organization. They just simply don't have the funds to be able to dedicate to this full time without also having a full-time job on the side. So for a lot of these players, unless you're a special circumstance, you just haven't really been able to dedicate to it full time, which again leads back to me saying this should make teams stick around longer. It should allow players to have an actual career moving forward. And ultimately, it should bring in more organizations to support these guys with salaries and backing and funding and just overall more of everything, which is actually really great. So hopefully we end up seeing that these things work for not just SAM and OCE, but because they work for these two, then you can bring in the Asia scene, you can bring in Middle East, you can bring in all these other regions. But I feel like these two have always kind of been the testing ground to see if other regions can work, obviously OCE being the first. And this is a really good step to starting to truly make the World Championship include the entire world. So I'm really excited to see where this leads. I think it's a lot of pressure in its own right, but at the same time, if it goes well, we could start to see more and more regions come into play for RLCS 11, like the Asian scene, as well as Middle East and some others. So fingers crossed. I really hope it ends up leading to more. With that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down in the comments below and I'll do my best to get to them. And you may even find yourself featured in one of these videos as well. If you guys enjoy the content, as always, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, as well as hit subscribe and turn on notifications. But that is going to wrap it up for me here. I'm Lawler, and as always, this has been your Rocket League news for the day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.